All right, so we're live. What up, YouTube? What is up, Facebook? What is up, gang? It is your host, Joe Tang. Happy Sunday. This gentleman you see next to me is Nav the Poet. He's my guest today, and we're just gonna be jamming about how he got involved with poetry. Check this out, guys. I'm adding a new format to the show. Sorry I missed you guys yesterday. I just took a day off. I didn't have a guest, and just wanted to spend some time with the family. So I hope you guys appreciate that. I hope you guys had a great Saturday. The new format is I've been connecting with a lot of awesome people over on TikTok, and I wanted to show them some love. And so I figured, for the show, I'm gonna spend the first 5 minutes just literally bringing people on. I'm doing this thing called a virtual hug in form of a call. And so I'm gonna extend that and bring that on to the Cup of Joe. Nav is the perfect person to assist me in this. Is the first time of me kicking this off because he's all about positivity and putting out a great message out into the world. And so, Nav, if you're ready, I'm gonna start bringing people on. We have 2 guests right now. We might have one more come on. I told people the first 4 people to text me would have this opportunity. So if you're ready to kick it off, I will bring the first person on.
Yeah, let's go.
Actually, you know what? Scratch that. Nav, get a chance real quick. Tell people who you are and what you do. That way people have some context to who I'm speaking to.
Okay. So my name's Nav. Sorry, Joe.
You already know I'm going to be so
and
that. My bad.
yeah,
No,
it's all good, dude. It's
love.
Nav.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. Nav rhymes with love. So my name's Nav, the poet. I'm a spoken word artist. I've been writing and performing for 9 years now. I travel and perform and am pursuing this as a profession. I'm also a videographer and video editor, and just an overall person working to. The motto I say is break barriers and build bridges. So.
Breaking barriers and building bridges. That's awesome, man. And look, you've been putting out some amazing content on TikTok. If you guys aren't following him, I'm going to make sure that by the end of this, here in a few minutes, I'll put his banner below. That way you guys can go check him out and show him some love. But really, really great messages that he's putting out on the platform. All right, Nav. All right, Nav. Good Lord.
It's all good, man. Don't worry. Don't be too hard on yourself.
It
takes some time.
I'm bringing on Tanya.
Okay, cool.
Hi. It just doesn't seem surreal. I was just spending time with my children yesterday with my 37th birthday, and I tried to make the best of it. Real quick, I lost my mother 5 years ago on the 10th. We buried her on my actual birthday, so it's been hard every year, but every year I try to get a little bit more stronger. I still go let my younger 2, they never got a chance to meet her, so I still take them to the cemetery. I tell them who she is. I do things in honor of her. She passed from sleep apnea, so I want to raise awareness for it because it's a lot of people that is affected by it. And I just try to live in her memory and just, being a mom, the best mom I can ever be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, by the way. How many kids do you have?
I have 4, 3 girls and 1 boy, and I finally had my son, and not gonna cry. When I found out I was pregnant with him, I found out he had a mass on his lung. It's a malformation of the airways. So with everything going on, he literally cannot go outside. He has to stay in. He can't be around other people. So it's been a little hard. If you check my page out, I do stuff in the house like I did, sipping pain, or we'll just run around and they'll do dances. They'll, do something to make sure they have fun. But through everything now is really hard. So I don't know. My 10-year-old actually got me to this TikTok thing, and I'm kind of happy. She's a little knocked out here. We had pajamas. We were supposed to make Rice Krispie treats, but I passed out. And then my son's here. He's like knocked out too. We all end up on a couch from Netflix last
night. That's awesome. First of all, just so people can know where to find you, Tanya. What's your TikTok name?
It's Tanya Ballard 8. Is that just the hashtag Tanya Ballard 8 is my name with the number 8 after it?
Okay, perfect. Secondly, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing what you just shared. You're a strong woman. You're a strong woman, and inspired me with that story, and the fact that you came on here to share that. I appreciate it so much. You said a birthday just passed. Was it? You said yours?
Just yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday. Happy belated. Happy
Oh,
belated.
Thank you. I kind of posted a lot of things that we were doing with the release. We always take her flowers to the cemetery, and we'll come home and we'll either before we went to like restaurants, but my 10-year-old goes, "Mom, we need to do a seafood boil." I'm like, "What is that?" So she was like, "You get all the food and you put it in the bag," and I'm like, "You put it in the bag?" She's like, "You cook it." I was like, "Oh." So I did the vegetables in one. I did the crab legs, shrimps, and the was it beef kibasi in another one, and it was, man, it was so good. We was up till late eating. I went to
Wow.
sleep, woke up, ate again, came back for some cake and stuff. But I really had fun. Thanks to my 10-year-old, I'm here to talk to you guys, and this has been an amazing experience.
Cool. Well, this is what I do. I spend like most of my morning just giving out virtual hugs via form of a phone call. And this is a new version. Nub, I want you to meet Nub. Nub is a great guy off of TikTok as well. And he's similar to me. He's putting out great messages online around, you said breaking barriers. Say your statement again, Nub.
breaking barriers and building bridges.
Yeah, breaking barriers and building bridges. So he's a great guy to follow. I wanted him to be on here while I extended my love to you guys. So this is me giving you a virtual hug and saying enjoy your Sunday.
You. I so needed that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing up.
All right. You guys have a good day.
All right, you too.
You too.
Bye.
All right, Nev. Stacey.
All right, let's go. Dude, this is awesome. I love what you're doing. It's fantastic.
Hey, Nev. Hey, Joe.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Stacey? Hey, Stacey, do you follow Nev at all?
I don't, but I'm going to.
You should. Hopefully I can get Nev to drop us a poem or two on the show today.
Right? I try to follow people in your live when we get on in the mornings. I try to like touch their names and start following everybody. So
Gotcha. That's awesome. Yeah, I always tell people, when you're on there, I'm usually just rambling, feeding my kids or doing something crazy, but there's awesome human beings on there that I always want to tell people to connect with and network with. So
definitely.
Anyway, thank you for being willing to come on the show. I wanted you to meet Nev and Nev to meet Stacey, and also just extend a virtual hug to you and hope that you're having a great Sunday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You want my word for today?
Yes, word of the day. I forgot to ask Tanya.
My word of the day is sunshine. Because no matter the weather, sometimes you have to bring your own sunshine.
Awesome.
I needed that because it's really cloudy over here.
Yeah.
Nev's over in New York.
Yeah, you gotta have the sunshine, and so sometimes you gotta bring your own.
Gotcha. I love it. I love the word of the day.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anything you want to share, Nev, with Stacey before we let her go?
No, we've only spoken for a minute, but I appreciate the energy. Is the word of the day something you do, I guess, daily?
I just started that Nev like yesterday, and I thought it would be a cool way just to because there's a lot of people who, like I said, I'm not bringing the energy. I'm not bringing the energy that's happening in my life. I'm not the only one bringing it. It's everybody out there. So everyone who I've been on the phone, they have been awesome people. And so I started this word of the day to, like Stacey's just expressed, this, like, let them express what's on their mind in a positive way. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Stacey, what else is on your mind before we hop off?
Just that, like, I was listening to the other people talk. I think I'm opposite of the girl you just had on. I have 3 boys and 1 girl, and some similar things in common. And that's what I love about your live, is just hearing everyday people being honest and open about their emotions and their feelings and, what's going on in their life. And, I get my daily dose.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Seriously, Stacey, like, I know this is the second time you've been on the Cup of Joe, and I know you've been following me on TikTok. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope you keep coming back, and I hope we keep staying in touch.
Thank you. You too. Y'all have fun. I'm so excited.
All right. Take care. Have a great Sunday.
Enjoy. You too.
All right, Nev, we're going to just go ahead and kick off our convo. And throughout this conversation, I'll be, I'm still trying to figure out the best way for me to manage, like, looking at the comments and, manage some of the messages coming through. So if I happen to be looking away, don't mind me. I'm just trying to navigate some of these comments. But Literally, man, I appreciate you for being on here. Everybody who's watching from YouTube and Facebook, good morning, happy Sunday. I have my guy Nav here. He is a poet, an awesome human being, and I just wanted to jam with him and see what he's about and learn more about him. So, Nav, how did you get into poetry? That's what I want to know.
Sure. So I was in college when I first started writing, really. I was dealing with a lot of personal struggles, and poetry just became this outlet for me to get those feelings and thoughts out. And so I remember distinctly, I was in class one day, really bored. I was an engineering major at the time, and it was like a chem class. I was just so bored. I just started writing, and I wrote this whole poem throughout the duration of this class. And I was looking at him, wow, this was like, I just felt so much relief after sharing just like my thoughts on the paper. And so it was, that's kind of like how it started. And then the way I explained to people is it didn't just feel good to write, it felt right, as if this was what I was just inclined to do. What I don't believe in destiny, but I do believe that we all serve a different purpose on Earth, and I think this was mine in some way or form. It might have manifested itself in 1,000 different ways. Writing just happened to be the way that it did, and so I just started writing. And then that whole summer, it was the year of 2011. Just the whole summer, I was like intensely studying poetry by like watching YouTube and watching poets perform, like Def Jam poetry, and just watching all that and writing my own stuff. And at the end of the year, I saw an opportunity to perform at this community event, and so I had never really been in front of an audience before, so I was terrified. But I just thought, why not? Let's just see what happens. And I went up, performed my one piece. It was like 3 minutes long or something. I walked off the stage. In my head, I'm going, I want to do this for the rest of my life. Literally, just that instant, I just knew this is what I want to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing, bro. You mentioned like manifesting and all that, and I don't want to get too like crazy spiritual talk, but I listened to he's a poet as well, an artist. His name is Russ. I don't know if you are familiar with him. He's one of my favorite hip hop artists, but he has a song that says that he found his portal to connect him to the universe. Like that's a lyric he had. And I love that because we all, like every single one of us has a way to connect with the universe. Like we find our portal, right? And I think portal, aka the thing that we love to do, the thing that we can do every single day, that we're super passionate about, regardless if we're getting compensated or not. And so I love that you shared that, man. That's cool that you found it.
Yeah, like, and everybody has a different avenue to look at it through. Like for me, it's about my faith. That's how I kind of view it. For me, I feel God is speaking through me. I don't feel like I am I don't think that highly of myself. I'm just saying that I'm this lowly vessel that's being used to share these messages. And that's how I've kind of, because people will ask me how long does it take me to write a poem? And a lot of the times it's 5, 10, 15 minutes. And I'm not arrogant enough to think that I have that power by myself. So that's my rationale for it,
Yeah, absolutely. You're a humble man. No, but
I have to maintain my ego. It's hard.
I love it. Hey, not to put you on the spot, but I am going to put you on the spot. Do you think we're going to have a chance to hear one of your poems today? Because I know you share with me on my TikTok live, so I'd love for my audience out there in the Facebook world and YouTube world to be able to hear your magic.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can do that. Maybe not this second, but we can definitely do.
At some point throughout the combo.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Do the ones I've done on your live have been shorter pieces. I'd love to do a bit of a lengthier one just to show like variety in my. I aim to have variety in my work and diversity in like my style. So I'd love to do a bit of a lengthier piece.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, outside of poetry, what do you do for work? What are you doing right now? How are you spending your time?
Right. So I work. I think I've told you before. I have a degree in film and television. So I'm in video production, and I work for this company in their marketing department, creating video content for social media and all that stuff and promos. And so that's a lot of what I do. I also just create my own videos, obviously, and video production is like right up there with my poetry in terms of passion. It's something I absolutely love. I can sit at a computer editing for a whole day and not be bored. I'll be frustrated because it's not working the way I want it, but I won't be bored. I really enjoy the process of creating that the content, because like it's a puzzle when you're editing. I don't know if you've ever done any editing, but it's such a unique puzzle to piece together these different shots and get it right. Like I'll spend 20 minutes cutting up like 4 seconds of footage, which sounds absurd, but it's pretty normal in a lot of instances with editing. So that's a lot. I do a lot of writing. I'm aspiring to be a script writer, so I'm working on different ideas for screenplays and scripts and things like that. And then for right now, it's just I work from home, fortunately, because I do video editing, so I'm working from home. So it's just work and then just hanging out, relaxing, enjoying my time with the family, keeping in touch with friends. Again, just a lot of writing. I've been incredibly creative this past month. I don't know if it's because I'm just so isolated and just have nothing else to focus on that my brain can kind of hone in on that space, or something else. But yeah,
that's cool. I'm pretty sure the quarantine has definitely inspired some creativity. Just for context, man, how much time a day are you spending just writing, so people know like the work you're putting in? And for you, it's not going to feel like work, but I want people to know like you're actually taking time to like write a lot. So how much time would you say in a 24-hour day you're spending writing?
I don't know. Honestly, I've never measured it like that. And a lot of it isn't even writing. A lot of it is I'll be rehearsing my works or memorizing, or I'm coming up with ideas, or I'm just hashing out the ideas in my head. So it's all part of the process. It's not necessarily me physically sitting down and writing, but I spend so much time I don't even realize until because I love film and television so much, I watch it and I'm watching it for entertainment, but I'm also studying it and analyzing it. And I end up getting a lot of ideas for a script or for even poems sometimes just by watching content. And so it's weird, like I couldn't tell you how much of my time, but because I'm spending so much time doing these different facets of my passions, it's most of my day, honestly, is just my mind is churning out ideas or thinking and processing the different possibilities of what I could create. So I can't give you like a time, an hour time, but it's a good portion of my day.
That's awesome, man. That's super awesome. What kind of movies are you watching? Like what inspires you when it comes to script writing?
So I'm a huge fan of professional wrestling.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, because I love the whole theatrics aspect of it, right? It's so unique in the sense that I don't know if you've watched much of it, but what's crazy about professional wrestling compared to any other television program, because that's what it is, it's a television program,
right?
Is that the audience has a direct influence on the show. So usually what happens with a television show is they film 7 to 8 to 10 episodes, and then they air them weekly. And now with social media, you can get some instant feedback, but you can't change anything in the next 8 episodes, right? You have to wait till you create. With wrestling, literally, you can go week to week. If the audience is suddenly just not living with a guy and start booing him, they'll turn him into a bad guy. Like it's so wild how integral the audience becomes, and I love that aspect. And there's a lot of good. I mean, right now it's debatable, but in general, there's a lot of good storytelling, character development elements to wrestling. So and because I'm just such a fan, like I watch a lot of that and study a lot of that. But pretty much anything I watch is, what am I watching right now? I'm watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the animated series.
You say Star Wars?
Did
you say Star Wars? I missed that last part.
Yeah, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the animated series. There's so I'm watching that lately. I watch a lot of reruns of shows I've seen already. but that's more for just like amusement's sake and just enjoying. But it's also, since I've already seen episodes, I can watch them with a closer eye to the details and not worry about the plot. So yeah, it's a lot of just a mix of, I don't know, different things. I don't have like a set thing. I just, whatever I can watch and get something from, it comes from anywhere. My inspiration for things comes from literally obscure places.
Awesome. Check this out real quick. Commercial break, guys. If you're tuning in on YouTube and Facebook, make sure that you share this live, because Nav here is going to be sharing a poem with us. And I mean, I just love this guy. I can talk to this guy all day about the craft. By the way, Nav, you asked me about video editing, if I've ever had experience in it, and I totally did. In 2016, I started vlogging. I can't believe I haven't told you this yet. So I had to learn. I was inspired by Casey Neistat and his whole filmmaking process. And so I spent hours and hours and hours and hours a day trying to learn how to, take hours of footage and condense it down to 6 minutes. And so I totally, I totally relate to what you were sharing earlier. I'm curious how you, and you probably shared this with me when we first spoke, but just for the sake of the audience, how did you get into film? And what is your goal with that now that you're doing poetry pretty hard and you're doing marketing and like film? What is, how are you going to tie all that in, or are you going to be slowly shifting to focus most of your attention on poetry? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so like I said before, I was an engineering major when I was in college, and then I discovered poetry. That's when I started to realize that engineering is just not for me. So I was looking for what else I could go into. I can't do a poetry major. I mean, maybe I could have, but I don't know what I'm going to do with that. So one day a friend of mine invited me to our, he had a show on our college radio station, on our college radio show. So he called me to just be a guest and, mess around, have some fun as a guest. And I sat there for an hour talking to him. We were just talking about music, because we're both in the same kind of music. And I just left thinking, this is amazing. This is a platform that I didn't know about that you could use to like voice yourself. I was looking for these outlets to share my voice. And so I eventually switched to our general communications major, which covered everything in media. And so I had to take a course in film, television, radio, public relations, advertising, all of that. And so when I ended up taking my Film 101 course, I had made a video of one of my poems, and I wanted to share it with my film professor to get his thoughts. And he literally watched the video and he goes, "Your look is so distinct, it needs to be on screen. Like, you need to have your look as part of this, this image." And I was just like, that's the first time anyone's ever encouraged me because of my look, as opposed to look down on me for it. And that really just, that one conversation made me go, I'm going to do film and television instead. So I went from radio to film and television as my focus.
That's awesome.
And then, start pursuing that. As for what I want to do with it, like I said, I want to be a screenwriter. So, I'm working on scripts, and I'm hoping to, my poetry is hopefully also an avenue to show my storytelling ability, because I like to think that through my poetry, I tell a whole cohesive story. It's not just, not that there's anything wrong with it, but you'll see a lot of poetry, especially now on social media, that is really short form and, has like this nice sentiment, these nice thoughts. But I really attempt to capture this whole story in my poetry, that some of them are 2 to 3 minutes long and things like that. But even in the minute-long pieces, I do my best to really convey a whole message of, this little like beginning, middle, end of this tale, whether it's of my personal experience or some observation I've made. So I'm hoping that also helps in promoting my ability to tell stories and eventually get into that space in television specifically. I want to be more in television because I like the long form aspect, the ability to go and tell a continuous story throughout several episodes. So that's the aim, the ultimate goal. And still, while pursuing my poetry and getting shows, I want to perform as much as possible, anywhere, anytime, any venue, as many people in the crowd or as few. I've performed for 5 people in a laundry room before, so I'm not opposed to doing smaller gigs.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Respect. Raffy Taps, thanks for sharing Nuv's handle. Nuv, can they find you here on this handle on TikTok, Instagram? Like, where does this connect people to for you?
Yeah, so Navthepoet is my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and then my YouTube is Nuv, because it's all about me.
Awesome. Cool. I'm gonna take some questions. People have questions for you in the comments. Yo,
Yeah.
Questions for Nuv or myself, please drop your questions in the comments. And I'm trying my best to, I'm putting my focus on Nuv right now. So guys, I apologize if you're out there, the audience, saying stuff to me. Hello, thank you for being on here. I appreciate you guys so much. Our first question, Nuv, comes from, there's a wrestling question. Exy.
Oh, nice.
Where is it? I saw it earlier. It was something like, what do you think about wrestling now? Here it is from
Oh.
He said, how do you feel about wrestling these days? No audience now.
Oh, specifically that. I mean, I don't run the business, so I don't know the business side of it, but I just think it makes little sense to have these shows going on because they're still running shows, WWE, without an audience. It's an empty arena show.
Yeah, right.
And it seems so unnecessary to me personally. I feel like you're not making money because there aren't paying fans in your audience. So what are you really accomplishing? And a lot of the arguments, or the counter to that is, well, like in this time we need something to, I guess, be like a distraction or an escape. And I understand that, but one, you're also putting all the staff at risk, right? Because if someone has this virus and they're working and they're and that only creates potential more issue, because when they're still sick, when we are able to actually go back to business, right? Like they did WrestleMania as the biggest show in WWE with no audience, and I'm just it makes no sense to me, and I can't rationalize any of the reasons that people give me. It's really weird, and it's weird to watch because like as a performer myself, I understand how much of a role the crowd plays in your performance. Like I can go and perform perfectly fine with 5 people, like I said, but when I have a raucous crowd or a crowd that's really invested in my work and cheering, it ups it so much. Like I just become like I can't explain how much more powerful my content becomes because I have that energy fueling me. It's like when you're on social media and you see people engaging with you and showing you love, and you get that same, that's why I make more videos, because like people are really enjoying them, so I'm more motivated. I would still do it without all the likes and comments, but I feel more motivated, like, oh, people want this content, so I should give them more of it, so it's weird without the audience. I really think they should have taken a break. Also, like WWE specifically does not take breaks. Like they go almost 300 days out of the year, and I'm just like, just give them a break. Give them a 2-month break. Let the wrestlers rest. Let your creativity recharge. I felt there were a lot of benefits to them just having a impromptu off season. But I don't know the business side to it.
Me neither. I don't know the business side either. I'm kind of thinking about like budgets and how you've probably companies have already invested in certain slots, right? So they want to make sure they're capitalizing on that, right? But at the same time, it's like, I do agree with you. Why force the issue if it's going to put people at risk? Now, my question, and this is kind of random, but it plays alongside with what we're talking about. As an athlete, I know that it is way different playing. I'll play the game of basketball all day long without an audience, but when you do have an audience, now that intensifies my level of play, right? And so that's what you're saying. How do you feel about esports? Have you been paying attention to that? Because that is defining how I think sports all over is going to be happening. Because there's an audience, but not necessarily in an arena. They're on the internet. And so how do you feel like that would affect something like, WrestleMania or basketball or things of that nature?
Right. What's interesting about esports is that, because you're right, for the most part, it happens online, but they do tournaments where the players are sitting right next to each other.
Yeah,
and the audience is also like, they understand they need to be, like the players need focus. So for the ones I've seen, I don't follow it too much, but the streams I've seen of these like live tournaments, the audience is usually pretty just like focused and silent, I think, because they understand the players need that. So it's a different arena, I guess.
It is. It is.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, our brother, watches the sports, so he was watching the NFL draft, and it's just, again, it's weird to have this whole setup of, just people talking across online. I mean, it's great on one hand that we're able to even do these things, right? If we weren't able to, then we'd probably be like, oh, I wish we could somehow still make this happen. But because we're able to, we're also just like, why are we doing this? Like, it's weird to be doing this because there's no audience, there's no all that crowd and all the community aspect. But I think that's something that really is being we're becoming cognizant of because of this situation, is how big community is to us, right? Like, it's the same thing. Like, so even though I'm a follower of a faith, I wasn't really going to my house of worship. I don't know. I didn't, whatever excuses I had for it, I wasn't going. But now that I'm not able to, I want to go. Like, it's this weird, like, I didn't realize what it meant to me to be able to go there and be around people and have that energy until I wasn't able to. And so now, like, this month actually is a specific, there's a specific day of remembrance. It's a major day in my faith. And normally we always go to, the temple, the Gurdwara is what it's called, and we do, worship and prayer. And then at the end of the month, there's always a parade in the city to celebrate. And we obviously can't have that parade because there's thousands of people together, in the streets of New York. So, and I'm just like, it was supposed to happen this weekend normally, and it's not happening. And it's a weird experience to just not have something that I'd been going to almost every year for my whole life. And so it's the community aspect. I think we were taking that for granted, honestly.
Man, and that's the first thing that came to my mind is that, as human beings, we like options, but the problem with options is, the problem with options is we start to take things for granted, if that makes sense. And so, like, right now, we're kind of being forced to use the things that we've asked for this, in a sense. Like, believe it or not, like you said, if this wasn't available, we'd be asking during these COVID times, how can we interact? How can we communicate with people, our families, and things of that nature, right? So, yeah, it's just a funny thing. It definitely is a funny thing, and I'm excited to see how we evolve as a society with everything going on, especially in when it comes to things like television and movies and like sports. How is all that going to adapt with all this right now is what I'm curious to see. So,
right. Have you, quick question, have you had anybody that maybe doesn't usually reach out to you?
In what sense?
Like during this time?
Oh,
has anybody that you're in contact with, but maybe you don't, frequently?
I see what you're asking. Not really. Okay.
Because, like, for me, right, I have like this core group of friends that we live by each other. We meet up, but like they've never wanted to like really. We don't text each other unless we're meeting up, and like we don't really converse outside of when we meet up. But now because we can't meet up, they're like, yo, we should do like a Google Hangout. We should do a Zoom call. And I'm like, guys, we've been able to do this for years, but now you want to do it? Like, it's this weird, thing that, like you said, now the option has been taken from us, even though the option was over there. Now it's the only option. So now they're like, oh, well, now, let's do this. Because, like, we're all realizing how important we are to each other. So it's just an interesting observation I noticed.
It is. Now you have me thinking, right? I have a core group of friends that I play basketball with all the time, but we usually stay in touch. While we're playing or off the court and on the court, we stay in touch. So that's been happening, and I'm gonna think about that question some more. But you have some more questions.
You have play e-basketball with them now? Do you play like some Do you play like 2K with them or something right now?
No. I wish I was still in the video games, man. I'm not. I play a couple of them still, but I just don't. Dude, I'm boring. Like I'm a boring individual. I connect with people. I study these platforms because I'm just really into communication. So that's what I do. Now, Misty L. Wallace says, Nov, what gives you instant inspiration?
Instant inspiration. I don't know if anything gives me instant inspiration, but like I get yeah, think about this question for a second. It's an interesting question. That instant part is the key there, because like I get inspiration from everything, but does anything give me instant inspiration? I don't know.
Why?
I mean,
I was gonna say, while you're thinking about that, I just want to make sure everybody in there. If you have questions for myself or Nub, please drop them in the comments. If you're loving this combo, it would mean the world to me if you shared this to your friends. Only because, like I said, if they're not doing anything on a Sunday morning, this is something they could tune into to get a dose of our energy and our positivity. So yeah. Anyway, Nub, what are you coming up with your instant inspiration?
My answer is so simple. It's just
cool.
Anything that gives me instant inspiration, it's just life. Like I will be walking around my house or I'll be outside and I see, not that this has actually happened, but just as like a random example, be like, oh, like a pen fell on the ground and something happened, and it'll just, I don't know, here's an actual example. So one time I found a box of, or not a box, I guess like a litter of stray kittens in my shed in the backyard. And I'm looking at him like we obviously, we had them removed and we had someone come and take them. And I'm just thinking how space is taken up by people and taken by people so nonchalantly, right? Like, or just like, this is one that always, intrigues me, is when you see an insect or some kind of bug in the house, right? And I'm like, the bug doesn't really intend for the house to be there. The house was put there. The bug was just going about its path, right?
That's a good
and
point.
it had to cross the house because the house is now in its way.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's invading our space. We invaded the space, and the bug is just kind of trying to get through. And then we're like, oh, bug, get out of here. And like, most people kill the bug, or like some people remove it. And it's like, it was literally just, that's its natural space that we have now taken over. And it was just these strange instances or occurrences that happen in life that I'm like, I didn't think of it from this angle. I always attempt to approach things from another side, another perspective. And I do that in my poetry, where I'll present this idea and then flip it on its head. That's a big thing for me. It's also kind of fun to do that.
That's cool. So for me, it's a good exercise to challenge myself to think about like how to look at things different, like you said. I think I say this on all my shows, whether it's on TikTok, on here. I think life is a big game of perspective. And that's what excites me about waking up every single day. So my answer is super similar to yours. I think life fuels my energy. Life and people really inspire me, because it's this ongoing opportunity of growth and learning through different lenses, different perspectives. So Raffy Taps has a question for you. Do you deal with writer's block? And if so, how do you handle it?
So I used to believe in writer's block. I don't anymore. I just think if an idea is not coming to you, then it hasn't formed in your head enough. But I do believe there are ways to manifest that idea. So one thing I'll suggest is look into content related to like the subject matter. So if you're looking to write something about love, right? Listen to love songs, or read stories about love, or watch romance movies, or things that put you in that frame, that mindset of, or that headspace of whatever the subject matter is. Because now you're thinking about it a lot, and you're seeing it, and you're being shown it, and you're being made to really consider those ideas. So that's one thing I do, is like I'll watch poets perform poems about specific ideas that I'm thinking about, and then I find my own angle, my own way to go about the idea. I also watch film or listen to music. Music's big for me. I just love music, so like I can just I can sit and bask in the songs, and then hopefully something's there. But I also have like an actual physical technique. I was on a live yesterday with a friend of mine, and I actually explained this. So basically, I don't know if anybody's gonna be able to see the page, right? So I'll have to share it later. But what I do is I take a piece of paper, I hold it landscape style. Sorry, I hold it landscape, and that's important, but I'll explain in a minute. And then what I do is I basically write all over the page whatever my ideas are about the subject. So again, sticking with love, right? I'll write love at the top of the page. And then, in the bottom corner, I'll write, something about romance. And in the top corner, I'll write something about, like, you can write bullet points, phrases, full lines, paragraphs, write upside down, write across, diagonally, just like write however you want. And the whole point of that is to remove the restrictions, because when we write, I feel like we confine ourselves to this, like, oh, it's a vertical page, it's held, portrait style, we write in sentences, and that's the structure. But creativity requires a lack of structure for a lot of people. Wow, and so by writing in different, upside down, writing in different orientations and writing different styles, whether it's bullet points or just single phrases, and putting all your thoughts on the paper. I don't know if you've experienced this, Joe, but it helps me think better, because like your thoughts are all stuck in your head and you're just thinking about so much and you can't make sense of it. But then once you put it on paper, you look at it and go, okay, maybe I was overreacting. Like I've done this with certain, struggles I'm dealing with. And I'm like, okay, maybe, I see why I was feeling this way, but maybe they weren't feeling this way, or they meant this in a different way. And so it's the same thing with writing for yourself, is just put all those thoughts there, and then you can start to create a structure for it. Then you can look at all these thoughts, see what works, see what you can build off of, and then you can go about it and actually create your piece, whatever it is, a poem, a story, whatever it is.
That was the most epic answer for that question. I've never heard anybody explain it that way. That's cool. Did you come on that you're on your own, or is that something you learned?
No, that's something I developed myself.
That's cool, man. Like for real. Like now I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about, I like to write. I used to journal a lot. Just because I really do feel like I have so many thoughts and I can't organize them all in my head, so I have to lay them out on paper. But here's my restrictions. Here's my boundaries. My handwriting, my being able to stay within the lines. Like these are all barriers that I have in my brain that's probably restricting a lot more creativity that could be expressed. So I'm definitely going to use that recommendation that you just shared. And
I mean, like, I don't know if you can see, but like, see how things crossed out? Like, it's a mess. The page is a mess.
Right.
And I label it your mind on a page. That's what it is. Like, you just get it out there. Because like, and I'm sorry for interrupting you.
You're good.
But
you're good.
The whole point is that we try to organize it all in our head, and it's just too much to handle. But when you put it on a paper, I love to say this, the paper does not judge. Right? You will not hear any judgment from the paper. So you can say whatever it is you want on that page, and it's going to listen because it's there. It's just there to take your thoughts. And second, you get to look at it from more of an objective standpoint. You're not as attached now that the words are in front of you as opposed to in your head. Because that's why it gets so confusing for us, is because we're thinking of it from our perspective, from our lens, which is good, but sometimes that can hold us back. So when you put it on a paper, you now read it and you're reading the words and you're saying them out loud and you're going, wait, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Or, oh, this is what I want to do. Like things start to formulate better.
The question that's coming to my mind, I'm asking myself this, but I'm going to ask it out loud, is like, could writing be a form of working on our self-judgment?
Oh, 2,000,000%. That's how I do it through my poetry, but that's how I've done a lot of self-healing, is through writing. And then I look at the poem, and like I've written angry poems, and then I'm looking at them and I was like, I need to calm down a little. Like I need to take a breath. Like I was a little too aggressive. Let's step back and look at what I'm feeling, and acknowledge that maybe there's something I haven't dealt with. There are certain things that come to the surface because of my writing that I didn't realize were things that I was actually dealing with and struggling with till I started to write about them. Like I write about various social issues. So I write about gender inequality, and I write it on both sides. The gender roles that people hold themselves to, again, restrictions, barriers that we're being put in front of us, don't help anyone. And like as a man growing up in the South Asian community specifically, I don't know how it is for you, but like the gender norms of being masculine are really prevalent, and like not having those is just something that people will, you know, look down on you upon and make fun of you for, because you're not this quote unquote macho, strong, you know, really hardened guy who, you know, doesn't show emotion. Like showing emotion in South Asian community as a man is not a common thing. And so I've had to deal with that stuff because no one told me this, but I watched it growing up. I saw people doing this. I was like, oh, I guess that's what being a man is. And then I realized I have a lot of issues I need to deal with that I haven't been allowed to because I've been told that I'm not a man if I do. So yeah, writing is absolutely an avenue for self-reflection, self-love, self-awareness.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I respect everything you're saying. I think, you know, just growing up, I was born in '86, so I really started to think on my own like around the '90s, 2000s, and you know, just growing up in America. First of all, first generation Cameroonian, so African background. Yeah, just I feel like there's a container that, while my family was never this way, I just feel like society and the avenue I grew up in kind of put me in this container of I didn't necessarily feel comfortable expressing myself because
Right.
I was a man and I had to be strong, I had to be macho. And so literally it wasn't until like 2010, 12 or so where I really realized like we cannot judge ourselves based off of what society's definition is of men, of gender, if that makes sense, or really anything in that nature, right? And I think that's what
Right.
that's a problem I see in our society, is that there is so much judgment going on in so many different sectors of our species, if I can call it that.
Yeah.
That I really do appreciate this conversation right now. I hope everybody out there kind of hears this, because it's something as simple as writing on a sheet of paper can start to challenge the way we think and the way we look at the world, and that's awesome.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with that. Like, especially when it comes to certain things, if you say you are a certain label, right, then everybody thinks they know everything about you. Like, oh, you're this, you must be this, you must have these views. And we're such intricate beings. There's no way everybody who identifies in one way, in whatever way, is all of those things. But people want easy, right? They want simplicity. So they're like, oh, just example, like, oh, you're a liberal, so you think this way. But like, I could have some ideas that aren't, or some, you know, like humans are way too complex for us to put each other in these boxes. Yet that's exactly what we do, and it's always baffling to me.
Right, for sure, man, for sure. Reading some of the comments here, Jill Swanson says, I agree, Nav. I recently picked journaling up again, started my Corona Chronicles. That's amazing, Joe. Congrats on that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You should like post that somewhere once you're done.
What's your
that'd
thoughts
be cool.
What's your thoughts on sharing your message online? Because you're obviously doing that, and that's literally what the show is made of. Is like I'm interviewing people like yourself who are expressing themselves in some form around their passion on the internet. So what's your first statement was you should share that, Jill. Which you should, Jill. I'm on board with that. You should share your Corona Chronicles online. But what are your thoughts on sharing your messages on these platforms?
I'm all for it, man. Like, even there are people like on TikTok, even that, because I follow some political TikTokers, so then I end up getting political content, right? And I disagree with people on 1,000 different things, right? But I love hearing people's perspective. Even if it's this really harsh, disrespectful perspective, I still like hearing it because I want to understand why. I want to understand what is the reasoning behind your perspective, because we tend to miss that on a lot of things of like why things exist, right? Like going back to like the gender issue, it's kind of sort of not really, but you know, I've seen a lot of people talk about like men's rights, right? Which I think is important. I think all people should be treated equally and not be judged. But the issue I have with that whole conversation is that it stems from the fact that men who create society mostly decided that this is what men need to be like. So when you use men's rights to oppose like gender equality, it's weird to me because they're the same thing. Like they're both the same issue. It's just that people don't, I feel like they don't recognize that the reason that men's issues exist is because of the societal pressures imposed by men and held up by men. Like, for the most part, not all, people are, not all women are perfect at all. I'm not to say that, but like, if a kid hurts themselves playing, Little League, right? It's usually not the woman, usually not. Now, again, there are women who are abusive, but it's usually not the woman, the mother, who's like, stop crying, get up and go play. It's usually the male coach who says that kind of stuff. The mother is going to usually comfort her son, but the male coach or the father figure, someone will constantly promote this idea that crying is somehow unhealthy or bad or looks bad on you because you're not female. Like, it's just, so it's perpetuated a lot by men. And so when people talk, it's just a weird thing. So it's always the why. That was the point. It's always the why that I like to look at. So I welcome people who disagree with me, who are even racist to me. I ask them, what is the reasoning for this? Like, why did you post that comment in the first place? A lot of times people try to cover it by being like, oh, it was a joke. Like, that wasn't a joke, buddy. Like, that was clearly not a joke. You clearly have something inside of you that compelled you to say something that you know is disrespectful. And either you know it's disrespectful, or not, either you intended for it to be disrespectful, or you just thought it was funny and were just ignorant of how disrespectful it could be. So let's address this and let's talk about it. And there'll be people who are like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, that's okay. Just, be more aware next time. Yeah. It's not hard to be kind. It takes little to no effort to just either don't say anything, just swipe on, or just say a nice comment. Drop an emoji, drop a smile emoji. That's better than saying anything rude.
Yeah, man. Wow. This is like a coaching session for me now, because I have twins, a boy and a girl, and okay. With my background in sports, I can be pretty intense. I'm a pretty intense character, especially when it comes to like this basketball and like whatever. So what I'm doing, honestly, and I'm not afraid to say it on here, is like I'm challenging myself to look at my son, and now with my perspective at 33 years old and everything I've been through and everything I'm learning, everything I'm sharing online, how can I challenge myself to think differently on how I'm going to raise him? Because there's been moments where he's fallen and I'm like, come on, man, get up. Like, it's all right. Let's go. And trust me, this conversation has run through my mind but I don't want him to be afraid of expressing himself. And so that's been a real challenge of mine as of today, is like trying to figure out ways where I can like still get my son and my daughter through adversity without making them feel like they can't fully express themselves. And so I really appreciate this convo, man. And I another thing I appreciate about you, Nov, is that I like that you say you welcome everybody's perspective and you respect their perspective, because it allows you to understand the whys behind it. And it's just, yesterday I was talking about kindness and like giving without expectation. I think giving, sometimes people think like it has to be like a gift, like I have to give you something, I have to do something. Right. Giving at the end of the day could be as simple as you, whoever says something negative to you, asking them a question in a respectful way and giving them a chance to explain themselves. That's a form of giving to me, in my opinion. Like being able to have that, because you have to have some kind of patience or some kind of like ability to drop your ego to a side and say, look, I'm going to be able to listen to you. So I respect that about you, man.
I wanted to say, first of all, 100% agree with that. But because I've only seen you online, right, I would not expect you to be an intense person. So when you said that, I was like, oh, shoot, that's an interesting side of Joe that I don't know, because the side you present to us is such a warm, loving, compassionate person. Yeah. So it's really interesting to even learn like little things like that. Yeah. But that's the point, is like we're all so multifaceted. Right. And so like for me to assume, not that I did assume, but for my head, the fact that I was even like, oh, Joe could be intense, like it's a thing that we just do naturally. And there's nothing wrong with it on the surface. It's when we just allow that to dictate how we truly view people, right? We have our natural reactions just to things. But we have to then stop and think, why did we react that way? What was the purpose of reacting that way? It's because we assume not the worst, but we just assume things of people. But I was also having this conversation yesterday on this live with a friend of how because they asked me like, how do I handle those comments? And I'm like, look, it's not easy all the time. I literally sometimes have to put down my phone and come back to the comment a little later because they are hurtful. Like, I don't like when people make, terrorist comments to me. That's what I get sometimes. And I'm like, I don't enjoy it, but at the same time, there's a few choices I have. I can either be snarky and I can kind of respond with some like quip that people will see the comment and be like, oh, you got him, you burned him. Yes, like, which does nothing, right? It doesn't accomplish anything.
To fuel your ego, right? Which
yeah. I could walk away from it, which also, that's good for my own, health, but does it really help the situation? In some instances, I do have to walk away because there's just nothing I feel like I can say. Yeah. But in most instances, I feel like I can, or I can approach it with compassion, which is something I've learned. Like, I felt I've already had it, but I didn't realize how much I've gained in the last just like few weeks. One, because of I share a lot about my faith on my page, and it's just the more I delve into my faith, because I have to like research and make sure the information I'm giving is accurate, the more I'm filling myself with these thoughts about my faith and this meditative state. So the more compassionate I'm becoming and the more people are responding, the more I'm showing this like love to people. So I'm just like constantly flooding with this compassion and love, and it's just amazing. But it's really taught me that like I wasn't as compassionate as I once thought, because I was never challenged to be compassionate. I was never had these people comment these negative things, and I have to now handle it and like manage it and go about it.
That's a big point for sure.
Poetry therapists. What is that?
Yeah,
I've never heard of a poetry therapist.
What is a poetry therapist, by the way?
I might have to look into that.
You're blown up too, man. Your content, like I'm trying to spend a lot of time in the comments responding to people engaging and saying hey, but from time to time, people like yourself who've been following me since the beginning, like I try to go and check you out and see what's going on, and man, you're catching some steam, man, and blowing up, and I'm happy for you. I'm happy that your message is you're doing your thing and you're putting out good into the world, and it's good to see.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like, I started posting about my faith just because I realized I've been posting for a few months on TikTok, and I'm thinking because it's like the For You page and the setup of TikTok, anybody can come across your page. So a bunch of random people are coming across my page. I'm starting to get, decent amount of views, couple 100,000 views here and there. And I'm starting to get people following me, like 4,000 or 5,000 or whatever. And I'm like, all these people have been watching me, and people are stumbling upon my page, and they just see this guy who looks the way I do. And they probably have 1,000 questions that they'll never get answered. So why don't I give them the answers? Why don't I just share? This is like the perfect opportunity to educate people. Yeah. And that just like people are loving those videos. And I just did it because of why not? Like, I didn't do it with any intention, with any expectation other than let me share information about myself, because I love my faith. I'm really passionate about it, and I want people to know. And my mindset was always, if people find value from it, fantastic. If not, maybe there'll be 10 people that learn something, and that's enough, right? 10 people is better than 0. And that's what people, now I'm getting the comments on, I'm on like part 8 or 9 of sharing my faith, which is Sikhism. And people are like, I'm loving these videos. Like, this is amazing. I've learned more in the past 3 months than I have in like years. And I'm like, shoot, I didn't intend anything. This is amazing.
Yo, it's that feeling is mutual, man. The same things happen to my end, and I'm trying to balance out like how, number one, how is this all happening so fast on this platform? Number two, how can I continue to like give value to people in ways like people are now starting to write me DMs and like tell me like some crazy stories, dude, about their life.
Yeah,
what's been happening, and like part of me just has to take a deep breath and just say, wow, like I didn't know that I was gonna have this kind of impact on this many people. So it's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Awesome. I think I mentioned this to you in a prior live where on a phone call where I said that me being vulnerable, like us being vulnerable, for some reason compels others, complete strangers, to open up to us. Yeah. And that's so powerful that like they don't know us, but they feel comfortable enough to share their story with us. And I think that's a power that I do not take for granted. Like, I value that deeply. The fact that someone is just willing to come up to me and tell me something that they probably haven't even told some of their closest, loved ones, but they feel comfortable because I talked about something that relates to them.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, this has been awesome so far. If you guys have loved it, drop some hearts in the comments. Nov, I would love for you to, if you're ready, to share some of your art with us, and
sure.
And we kick this off. I want to take this moment and thank everybody on Facebook and YouTube, everybody who hopped over from TikTok to be on this episode today. Thank you so much. There's a lot of people out here who were messaging me saying they wanted to be featured on the show. Guys, I'm a one-man show right now, so like there's a lot of like incoming traffic, and I want you guys to keep letting me know. I'm gonna find the best efficient way to be able to respond to you guys when it comes to featuring you guys on the show. Here's the thing: if you guys ever want to be featured, I'm gonna drop a banner down here. Boom. Just text Joe Atang to 474747. Make sure you let me know who you are as far as a username, and just kind of tell me a little bit about yourself. And then on my next episode, I'll try to bring you on and say what's up and give you a virtual hug. But anyway, Nov, if you're ready, we're ready.
Okay, yeah. So I'll do this poem, which kind of fits with our whole conversation today. But I want to share the backstory of it really quickly. So I went to pick up my uncle from the airport one time. He was coming from India, so I had to go to the international terminal. And that takes 20 minutes or so because they got to go through customs and all that. So I'm waiting around, my mom, drove the car, so I got out there, I'm in the terminal, I'm waiting, just watching people for 20 minutes. And I don't like the airport, by the way, if you can't figure that out because of my, experiences and everything. But so I'm in the airport, I'm in the terminal, I'm just waiting, and I'm watching people, and I see just people reuniting. I see people meeting up, they're hugging. I saw this grandmother in a wheelchair, and she's greeted by her grandkids, and they have balloons, there's tears, there's kissing and hugging, and so much raw emotion. And I'm going, this is the happiest place on earth. This is just amazing. I love this energy of so much love going around. And so I wrote this poem based off of the experience, and it's called Terminal 4, because that's where I picked up my uncle. So here we go.
All right, here we go.
What if we treated each other like people at the arrival terminal of an airport? How different would our world be? Could you imagine? Greetings as powerful as those to a sailor lost at sea, finally finding their way home. Reunions and introductions surrounded by smiles, laughter, and tears for their precious occasion. Mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, grandparents, and grandchildren, best friends, long lost lovers, with emotions so pure and authentic, nothing holding you back. No reservations, worries, or concerns, nothing but unadulterated euphoria. Balloons and flowers are given, hugs and kisses are shared, and a powerful moment is created. A feeling of bliss so tangible you can reach out and grab it through the air. Something which no Instagram post, tweet, or FaceTime session could capture or compare to. A raw, real, concentrated love which radiates from every single person, gives us a glimpse of our true selves. And it is in these brief yet monumental, visceral instances where it is revealed to us humanity's limitless potential for good. Thank you.
I got to clap on behalf of the audience because that was amazing. No. I want to go back to my intense thing because I want you to understand it. Just because I want to have more context on ourselves. I'm a passionate human being, right? And so my intensity comes from a pure. First of all, let me see. Someone's giving you some love here. I'm site nurse, consider poetry group. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. TP, I thought you were giving Nov some love. Anyways, your passion, dude, is infectious. And I'm sitting in this chair, just, you know, vibrating with energy of like, damn, I really love what you're up to. That was a beautiful poem, man. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. How long did it take you to write that?
Like 10, 15 minutes, dude.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's super dope. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, of course.
Misty still with us and says, amazing. And Jill, you're getting some love here in the comments. I'm trying to flash the comments so you guys so Nov can see them. But
yeah,
thank you so much, man. A couple questions before we hop off.
Yeah.
Number one, if you were on, Ellen is one of my favorite talk show hosts.
Okay.
And I just kind of like her platform. But anyways, if you're on Ellen, right, what would be your one message to the world?
Ooh, interesting question. Oh man, one message. That's tough. Okay, it would be so love and compassion is difficult to give, especially those that you don't agree with, that may be, you know, rude, disrespectful, hateful to you. But understanding how to give that love and compassion starts with understanding how to love yourself. So let's all learn how to love ourselves a little more, and then treat each other the way we want to love ourselves.
Amazing. I love that answer. That's literally my motto at this day moving forward, is how can I continue to, you know, everyone has a term like selfish, and yeah, we can get into that jargon. Like, I don't want to even go that deep into that conversation, but there's something to be said about, you know, how can you give kindness to others when you can't give kindness to yourself? So being self-critical, being judgmental, putting pressure on yourself, all those things that are going on in our mind, we can't fully give kindness if we're not giving kindness to ourselves. So I respect your answer big time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like love is crazy. There's no limit to it, right? Like, I can give you love. I still have the same amount of love, even though I've given you my love. There's no removal of that love. It's still within me, and it's always a choice. It's a hard choice. I will acknowledge it's sometimes a hard choice,
Yeah.
but it is a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to TP's statement. He says, "I'm a psych nurse. I have considered a poetry group at work. Found out about poetry therapists." Oh, nice. "We can't engage patients in writing without proper training." Nice. "Journaling is okay. Poetry can unpack many issues that bring out the unexpected." Thanks, TP. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, Nov, I'll let you have the question of the day for the episode. You get to ask the audience any question that you, I think you've done this on my show on TikTok, but you get to ask the audience a question, that something either you want to learn about, just anything, or something you want to challenge the audience with.
Okay, so it's a question with a challenge as well. So the question is, what is something you've done in the last week to show someone love? And then, or this is another question, what is something you are thinking of doing, or think of something you are going to do this week to show love? Someone, anyone, it could be a friend, could be a stranger. I know I message friends randomly, especially now, those I know who, I have a few friends who are in the medical profession, so some of them are nurses, and I'm messaging them, just checking up on them, seeing how they're doing, you know, everything going on, and especially because they're on the front line, so I'm checking on with them. I'm trying to help out around with my family as much as I can. Mom would argue differently, but I'm doing my best. And I hope to just kind of keep that energy, keep giving that energy to people. We need different people, right? Some people are like active in terms of, like, you know, doing certain specific activities to push forward a movement, and other people are the support that need to just keep feeding this energy and the morale, right? We all have a role to play, and so don't feel like if you're not actively doing something, you're not somehow contributing.
I love that.
I don't know where that came from, but
it was beautiful. And all I can say is, you said the best thing though, which is, all we can do is, you know, put effort in and do our best, you know. And I think effort matters, whether it's not about being perfect. It's not about being, you know, right. It's not about being the best. It's about just putting in the effort and really, really showing true love. So Nuv, this has been amazing, man. I hope we get to do this again soon. Thank you so much for being willing to be a guest on the show. I loved having you, and I know everybody out there is showing you love in the comments on both YouTube and Facebook. So if you guys definitely want to check out Nuv's content and poetry and the things that he's up to, he's really active on TikTok. Follow him. His banner's down there. Nuv, did I spell everything correctly?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yep, you're good.
Follow him. Send him some love. I'm going to give you a challenge on top of his challenge. Take 2 seconds out of your day, write him a message, go comment on one of his videos, show him some love without any expectation of anything in return. Just do something kind for him, please.
Joe, can you answer the question though that I asked?
Well, so go again. What is something you've done
in the past week that's to show love?
To show love in the past week, man, I try to do a lot. I try to do a lot of things, man.
Yeah, I see this. You're doing incredible stuff with this. I love this.
And I don't want to even use this as what I've been doing, but literally what I've been trying to do for you guys out there in the audience is I spend like an hour or so on TikTok live every morning and just try to put out some positive energy. And the way I do that is I have people literally get on the phone with me and I show them love. And it's been mind blowing how open and vulnerable people have been willing to be with me to kind of share what's been going on with their life. And trust me, these aren't like the most glamorous conversations. These are literally people being real with each other. And just the fact that I'm putting myself out there, I feel like it's awesome. And I'm doing it because all these people are showing me love over on that platform. So this is my way of giving back. So that, Courtney's been asking for, my girlfriend Courtney's been asking, for a few, massages and stuff, because she's been having like backaches. So I've been kind of putting that it sounds bad. I'm putting it to the side only because I've been tired, during the time she's been asking me. But, I stepped out of I put my ego to the side and I've been trying to like embrace her a little bit with helping her heal with her back pain. And there's so many I could list out a lot. I'm trying to. You're gonna like this. You're gonna like this one. You're gonna like this one. Nuv. I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna challenge myself today to reach out to people who we don't have a strong relationship with right now, like my blood, people, family who we haven't spoken to in a long time. I'm challenging myself. I've been talking to myself in my head for probably months now to be the bigger person. And actually put out a post the other day because I've really been telling myself to do it. So I'm gonna call some people who I haven't spoke to in a long time and literally just go show them love. So that hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, man. I'm gonna see if I can do that as well. I think I'll fail today, but that's my goal for this week is to reach out to people I haven't spoken to in a while. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate the question, man. I appreciate your time. You guys, Navthepoet, doing some amazing things on his platforms. Please go follow him and Nav, I thank you and definitely want to stay connected.
Yeah, I'd love to do this again. I love that we can go like deeper each time because every time we do it, we've now learned more. So now we can go to something different. We can explore something new. I love it.
Absolutely. By the way, your Banana Republic shirt is awesome. It's taking me all the way back. It's taking me all the way back to college when I my first job in college was at the Banana Republic where I listened to yacht rock music and folding clothes, selling gift cards to clients. So
nice. I've worked in Toys R Us, so I know the retail struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's insane, right? Cool, man. Well, this was it. I'm getting ready to hop off and sign off. But Facebook, YouTube, I appreciate the love. Everybody who's found me on TikTok, thank you so much for supporting the show. And like I said, I'm doing this, every morning, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes I have an amazing guest like Nuv, and sometimes it's just me, kind of just sharing what my thoughts are. So I appreciate all the support, and we'll see you guys in the morning. Now, if you want to stay on and jam for a little bit, you can. I'm just going to end the broadcast.
All right. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Also, last thing I forgot to mention, if you were watching the show and you wanted to be featured and I didn't feature you, that's my bad. I apologize. What I need to do before I hop on the show is designate like 5 minutes before I come on and make a list of people. That way I can like send the links faster. Today, I realized I said it without like setting myself up for success. And so there's a lot of people lingering. I will respond to you personally and let you get an opportunity for tomorrow's show. But I just want you to know that I did not miss you and I did not skip you. I'll get myself a little bit more organized for tomorrow's show, but I appreciate you. All right, I'm signing off now. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks, Facebook, and thanks, Nav.
Thank you.